Friends, colleagues, students, and guests, both in person and online people, well, welcome to this seminar by the School of Chinese. We are very honored to have Professor So-Jeong from the Sungkyunkwan University. Professor Park is a professor at Sungkyunkwan University, a famous Confucian and Chinese philosophy and Korean philosophy center. And he's also the director of the Institute of Korean Philosophy and Culture. And he's an expert in particularly philosophy and music, but also touching on Korean philosophy and comparative philosophy surrounding this music theme. So today we are very glad that Professor Pat will give us a talk on Li Shuchenqiu's music and entitled Cosmopolitan Music Education in the Master Li's Spring and Autumn Annals. Let's welcome Professor Pat.
Hi, my name is Dr. So-Jeong, and actually I came back to this topic music quite after the long time interval. When I was I actually spent quite many years, more than 10 years in Singapore before I joined to SKKU, Sungkyunkwan University in 2018. And beforehand, actually, my work were kind of focused on music part because there were quite many requests and there's many chances to join the discussion on music. But recently, so the reason why I'm talking about this is that musician Chu was not my favorite. Yeah, in the past. But because of the James Delman invited me to contribute a chapter on the musical kind of chapter on musician Chu, I actually visited musician Chu. And then during the couple of months time, actually I found quite new, very significant new points and interesting things a lot from my rereading of this video. And then I'd like to share what I got from my recent study with you. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with research material. That many? And then how many of you are like familiar with musical content in like ancient China? Okay, not bad. At least, there are a couple of people, right? Okay, right. As I briefly talked to Chris, actually, musicianship is categorized as a miscellaneous school. That's why that is really kind of hurdle and breakage, or kind of very high hurdle, lead us to avoid the careful reading, because that kind of categorization, that kind of definition, bring us that is a very scattered. So it is not. There is no way to. I mean, no need to like deeply dig further and then find out some coherent ideas. But that is quite. We found that as long as the music chapters of musician Chu, that kind of assumption is very harmful, I think. So I would like to show you how the music chapters of musician Chu can be considered as a advanced view on musical discourse and music education too. And then before I move on to the analysis of musician Chu's structure and then the meaning and the key points, I'd like to share with you some background for those who are not familiar with preaching music discourse. And then I would like to show that unlike the widely accepted understanding is actually the research scholars are not many, especially in philosophy field of philosophy. But those people, I mean, recent scholar also actually think that consider research music chapter are deeply influenced by Confucian ritual music. But that is not, I don't think that is well-examined idea. So I'd like to show that how research keep distance from Confucian ritual music and then like proposing new idea and new understanding, new proposal regarding what is the music's original music, and then instead of promoting ritual music or quote ritual music, actually the authors of the music chapters are promoting perfectly tuned music, different concept as a musical idea. I would like to conclude with the overall kind of goal of music chapters of Ishu Chunchu. So this person is an imaginary figure. I just want to share with you that book, Rishu Chunchu, which was compiled by Ribu Wei, are quite very ancient book. Comparing to the like other documents of ancient Greek, for example, actually it is very comprehensive and compilation regarding not only on music but actually especially music parts. I will show you how these like the chapters, music chapters, are precious for us to access to the like ancient thinkers' understanding of what is music. Okay, as we briefly mentioned, musicians were largely neglected mainly because under the, I mean, it is belonged to the miscellaneous school. So very first, the part of restriction to 12 harmonic strategy, generally understood to have been compiled by collecting all theories from various schools, and then especially for like these 12 months with harmonics, people usually say that, oh, this is advise people to live according to teaching of Taoism in spring, Confucianism in summer, militarism in autumn, and legalism and Mohism in winter. I don't think this is a good advice for me, at least. I don't think I can follow only spring Taoism and then turn to convert myself into Confucianism in summer. That is a kind of weird. But because of that kind of assumption, the music chapters in the Chu or to belong to summer section, especially among the three chapters of summer section. Summer section meaning that I mean in the lunar, I mean Qin-based lunar year. According to this year, actually the summer are counted as a what is it? Fourth, fifth, sixth. So I mean among these three chapters, the mid summer section and the late summer section are assigned to actually containing the music related content. And if then today all falls under the scope of Confucianism, many people simply connect this idea, this assumption to the understanding of the music chapters. But especially, this is the James Selman said, what James Selman said, especially on, if you closely looking these music chapters, then we can consider the music chapter as a predominantly media, masters of ritual, and Shinto style discussion. This idea is not only like owned by James Selman, But Scott Cook also said that the language are very Jungian style, but I don't think so. So I will show you why I don't think so. Okay, anyway, but at the same time, it's uniting 儒家、道家, Buddhist, and Yin Yang, I guess. I don't think this kind of explanation help us to understand the music chapter of Research Chunchu better. Then how to integrate mode and Xunzi in terms of music, right? Yeah, I will not spend too much time on to that. How to harmonize Confucianism, Taoism, and Mohism consistently in terms of music, in terms of their views on music. I don't think that understanding should be carefully re-examined. In order to move on, because Research was compiled after spring, autumn, and like Warren State time period. So what I mean by that is that a lot of the Research music chapters were compiled after a lot of discussion already done, and then some discussion were in progress, but actually because these musical discourse of ancient China are not well studied and not attract many people's attention. So I'd like to give you some background. This basic background is focusing on Confucius. So I would like to start from the easy one first, basic one first. So Confucius didn't really just raise up the issue of music without any motivation or without any real event and things. So actually, what pushed Confucius to respond to was is that significant events was that collapse of soul return system. And then not only that, later I will show you a little bit more. It doesn't mean that just soul return system was collapsed, but rather new music and innovative musical practice, sprang up from the powerful states. So that's why against those new attempts, Confucius actually conceived the idea of ritual and music, 礼乐. Of course, 礼乐, this term also quite crucial to me because how can we translate 礼乐 into English? Ritual music or ceremonial music or ritual and music. The reason why I just put ritual and music is I believe when Confucius composed 礼乐as a two-syllable term, the one integrated term, in his mind, the Li and Yue, ritual and music, are complementary and inseparable, and they help each other as if yin and yang. So that's why I prefer to use his translation, ritual and music. And then the second part also are not very well studied and visited, but the Confucius disciple, Zigong and Zixia, both of them came from Wei, which is the music of Wei. Zheng Wei are condemned by many people, but actually they came from Wei, and then they asked a question with their own Wei poems in the Annals. And then, but they didn't really show any kind of visible fight or argument between them, but from the scattered, it is not scattered actually. By re-examining some chapters of Yueji, of Yiji, we can see that they actually held different idea, different understanding, different evaluation onto the music that flourished at the time. So I would like to just move on. Anyway, and then roughly saying, we can say that like Zigong's idea is closer to have an intimacy with Mencius, And the Zixia one is more like yeah, well aligned with Xunzi and Mozi. This is a Confucian picture. I mean, at least these are basic background. You may understand, and you may have heard of the basic term in people. But in order to access research, we need more detailed background. So at least we should think about the modes. I wrote on modes musical thought, a paper, and unlike generally accepted, generally understood, Moses' claim, condemnation of Rie in music was not the simply utilitarian claim, but rather this is a consequence of his kind of conclusion of logical kind of logical reasoning, but we can say that Mozi was not very carefully taking care of like emotional fulfillment by music, but it was not just a simple silly message. The reason why I'm talk about this Mozi's influence, I mean, more is that at that time, this idea against music were not only Moses' idea. For example, Guanzi or Hanfeizi, we can see the same kind of similar kind of attitude towards the music, innovative music, and like kind of flourishing music at the time. So because of Moses' claim was very persuasive at the time, at least, Meishes Junzi tried to rebut this idea. But what I'm talking about, this is just background, but I just wanted to say, criticism onto this mainstream of Confucian musical thought was not only from the Mozi side, Mozi's camp, but rather Zhuangzi. I will not touch on Zhuangzi or Laozi too much on today, but actually their criticism was, more profound, I would say. So, and then their kind of articulation of the terminology, musical terminology, also quite. It was not obviously powerful and influential, but it was actually we can see some kind of interaction or influence from Richard Chunqiu. So this one, Ruelun, Xunzi's Ruelun, 17th sector or 19th sector of Xunzi, also, as I mentioned, this was produced in order to, for the purpose of criticizing and rebutting Moses' claim. And this one, although the transmitted text didn't show that detail, but we can refer to some excavated texts such as Wu Xing or Qing Zi Ming Chu. What was the kind of influential kind of passage, which is but I will not talk about that too much. Okay, so Yueji in the Li Ji, Book of Ritual, are kind of comprehensive collection of musical discourse. Although the Yueji didn't mention each point, but we can see maybe the collector editor of Yueji are aware of the musical discourse was unfolded in the past. And then the Rishunqiu, and then Yue Shu, in the Shiji, this kind of arrangement reflects the temporal order of the formation of these chapters, these book or chapters, and what I'm talking today is Sungkyunkwan, but as I show in color, actually Weilun, Weiji, Weishu are kind of aligned with each other. Their kind of position, their understanding. But Sungkyunkwan is very, very different. So let's see. This is the, I just, before, in the previous slides, I showed some concepts and people and text. But if you want to briefly just browse the historical events, then we can say that there are a lot of other reference from the history book. So, for example, the musical innovation, how this musical innovation was developed, and then how it strengthened, like kind of traditional classical music. We could see those kind of story and those like criticism from, for example, in the Zhuozhuan, they didn't really, the idea of music were not just formed out of blue. That the kind of we should think about the conceptual history. So the reason why I mentioned this too much is that instead of this is not good music, they always say, oh, this is a failure in the Zhuozhuan. But when they say failure, in many cases, actually, it is related to the wrong use of new music or something like that. So Confucius' idea of famous passage these things, these understanding should be understood in the context of these whole kind of long persisted long-lived event of musical innovation. Okay, I will not read it. I just want to show the this phenomenon of musical innovation are not a regional thing. It was very purposefully attempted. So this is a more kind of, so, and this is the textual evidences from So-Jeong, and Alex and Hanfei. And then, so if you follow the Confucian lineage, then we can see those kind of some kind of category of music to be promoted. And then from the promoted side category, in category, we can see the 先王之乐, so ancient sage kings music, or not. This is a little bit dubious and this is ambiguous, but anyway, I just put the like what is said in the Annals, So-Jeong and Ya-Yue. And then this part also a little bit like they need some more explanation. But anyway, so 古乐, classical music or old music, and ancient king's music or sage king's music, etc. These lines are one of problems, not one of problem, big problem, because then does it mean that okay, condemnation of new music or the criticism of new music, does it mean that then we should always stick to classical music and then we cannot create new music? So all new music are bad, something like that. And then if you emphasize too much on, oh, Sage King's music is good, and then all others are dangerous, then are we all just remaining in this passive perceiver, and we just receiver, rather than we cannot be creator or we cannot be active perceiver. And then the idea of ritual music also, it is usually linked to edification of emotion. Emotion is easy to flow bad way, so we should correct yourself, or you should make your emotion balanced, etc. So that idea also quite, I don't think this is very fit well with our musical practice. So music can be that restricted. Is that, can we call that, full picture of music? So another one is in the 乐ji, the first chapter of 乐ji is called 乐本, the root of music. There, actually, the author of the 乐ji kept repeatedly saying that music is generated from human mind. I will show you later the original word in the 有语 or 生语人心, etc. But so music is only or origined by humans. So only okay, those kind of thing. And musical harmony. Before, if you see the like Confucian lineage, the musical music literature in Confucian, with Confucian lineage, they do not talk about a lot about the how to make pitch or how can make the harmony, but they always talk about ba in. Ba in meaning that ba in is not in the tone. Ba in is actually a different musical instrument. So they talk about the harmony between musical instruments, and then but they do not talk more. Dig further to how what is a musical harmony. So all these problems were actually resided and hidden, or sometimes very delicately built, and but scattered. At least, for example, in the Zhuangzi, we can see some idea, initial kind of initiation of criticizing those kind of assumptions, but in the Zhuangzi, not many lines you can find. But in So-Jeong, in the first chapter of music chapter of So-Jeong, they say 度量, so standards and measures. So music is born of standards as measures. So meaning that this is related to number. Okay, and then rooted in the great unity. But this great unity is not mystical. I don't think this Kai is a mystical kind of concept, but rather, because to form and yin and yang, through these lines, I could see some kind of dynamism. Later, we will see the original text. And then this one is very interesting idea. How can answer to these not obviously raised questions? And the other one is they access to the concept of joy, 乐, and the relationship between 乐 and 乐. 乐 and 乐, the question of 乐 and 乐 includes, the one who philosophized deep connection between 乐 and 乐was actually Mo. And then I believe, and then otherwise, I don't think Xunzi raised this very first line, 乐者乐也. That first sentence is deeply, conscious of when he put that line. I believe Xunzi was conscious and aware of Mo's criticism. I believe like the authors of music chapters of Xunzi also revisit, but they play with the tongue. So 其乐不乐 or 其乐不乐. so okay, look, for example, some people are play music and then sing a song and they look very happy, but that is not real happiness, something like that. And so I will talk about that later. In order to talk, I mean, give a sense of how related to 越论、越见、越书. Actually, I made some kind of statistics. I made this graph long time ago, maybe 10 years ago, I think, because many people think that the 越姬, 李姬 got more like authority than 荀子, maybe. That's why people say that 越 is a older one, and then 荀子 copied it, because this part duplicated, this part are exactly same. This is duplication. So which means that in 史记, 乐书 adopted 荀子 and 乐记 a lot. And so many people, I mean, so this relationship, this is not today's focus, but I just want to say that, I made this graph in order to talk about 乐记 has more than, the 荀子. I'm not saying that. I don't see the preaching texts are, the concept of origin or concept of authorship are different from nowadays our kind of understanding of authorship. So I'm not saying that so 荀子 wrote 越论 from the first page to first line to last page by alone. I don't mean that. But what I'm talking about that is the 越论 in the 荀子 are accepted view, at least reflect the 荀子's own idea. But anyway, so as you can see, those kind of a lot of duplication you can see. Although I put 越姬 so this amount of 越姬 parts are independent, but it doesn't mean that 越姬 is written by one person. So what I'm talking about now is why we just assume 吕氏春秋 is 杂 and all these Confucian lineage are very pure. No, I don't think so. Actually, comparing to these musical texts in Confucian lineage, 吕氏春秋 are really pure and very new, very innovative. So almost no duplicate line. It has some 吕氏春秋, the volume of 吕氏春秋 is not just little, right? Compared to 越姬, slightly smaller, kind of smaller volume, but still a lot, quite many, literature we can, literature and document we can find. But within the literature with music chapter, almost no duplicate line, although there are some duplicated parts. So 释音 and 音出, some the final passage, each of them are final passage. Maybe rather than like quote 越姬 directly, it seems to be quoting some other texts which were shared at the time, but rephrased and altered. Concepts are altered. It is very different from the the phenomena of mutually duplicated kind of passage in 越论、越记、越书. So, for example, when I think in chapter and 大约 chapter 2, when they seems to be quoting some existing passage, the author of should change the kind terms into like more into the terms which they accept or they familiar with, I don't know. But anyway, so for example, 乐 to 音乐. And the second one is also quite interesting. I will revisit this part later on. So this kind of 移风易俗, this idea, I believe, first presented by 荀子. But and then it is a reloaded or quoted or included in 乐之图. So this expression, this phrase is very famous. So the main idea is that we can change social customs and people's mind with Sage King's music. But in Wishichunchu, they actually changed it one word, but context is totally different. Instead of saying that using Sage King's music to change people's mind or society, but rather because as I mentioned about what is a real, true music, what is a true pleasure? They asked that idea. So seemingly pleasure, seemingly enjoyable music may not be really enjoyable music, something like that. So that kind of logic changed the meaning, the phrase of the meaning of 이동 빙수. What he wanted to say with this phrase is that if the social kind of custom are desirable, then good music raised from it, something like that. And then, for example, this is a simple, minor one, but 乱世, if it is chaotic age music, then they do not put 乐 in the Confucian age, but Confucian lineage, but like Wishichunchu, the authors of Wishichunchu, they do not care about it because for them, 乐 is a bigger term, a more comprehensive term to include bad music, good music, new music, all inclusive term, but rather in is more articulated terminology. And then those things are not raised in any other raised. We can maybe find some kind of case, but it was not like deeply reflected. So new terms so sometimes just altered, sometimes newly revised. So actually, Wishichunchu music chapters keep distance from Confucian ritual music discourse. So the expression is that 礼乐, the term is that was not frequently used at all. So actually, in the music chapter, if you compare to the appearance of 礼乐 to any other, for example, 淮南子. 淮南子 is a kind of a little bit later, but still the Han text, right? So if you compare to the 淮南子, the Wishichunchu rarely use 礼乐. Only in music chapter, only once used, but that usage was actually occurred when the author quotes 乐节's praise. So it is not actively raised concept. Instead, he newly coined the concept of 音乐, tonal music or tuned music, etc. And then this is a more specific terminology than just the saying 乐. So, and then, as I mentioned, instead of directly accept this idea, like music or tune are only generating from a human mind, to he doesn't just simply deny or denounce this idea because music is of human. We can say that. So, but basically, before human engage in and creating, work with, and then creating music, if there is no sound, then we cannot make music, right? So something like that. So anything that has empty space has a sound. Afterwards, we can add on in this, and then here also the author of Wishichunchu changed the expression. This produced rather than 生于, they said 残于人心. But before so it is not the human mind is not doesn't occupy a very crucial status in the Wishichunchu. Okay, so that one I already talked about it. So this is structure of the music chapter of Sungkyunkwan. So there are a lot of content, so I don't think this is too much simplification. But I just want to show the very big, like kind of very big structure first. So the midsummer talk more on the focus is on Yue. Although in this chapter also dealing with the concept of in or in Yue, but basically, roughly speaking, the reason why I say the first part midsummer chapters are more focused on Yue is that in the first chapter, first sections, or how to say, first section, I mean, the authors are talking about more general things, origins, and origins trace back very long time before, or they extend the origin of music to up to the whole the four directions, for example, something like that. But I don't know that one is here. But late summer, they more focused on, for example, 12 pitches and how 12 pitches are corresponding to the 12 months, for example, or how, so these are, so in is very tricky term to translate. So sometimes in meaning that meaning, and but what is musical meaning, right? Then pitchy or melody and rhythm, all these kind of like musical characteristic or musical style, that is better to be expressed within. But we is a, as I mentioned, the bigger term, and then especially interesting. I will revisit some point of please here. So, for example, regarding original music, they didn't simply say, "Oh, human mind made music and other creature made noise." They do not. I mean, that is too simplification of music. Also, but actually, they said that. They said that. But for research, regarding the original music, the first first chapter, in the first chapter, they trace back very abstract concept, 度量, so measurement, measure in maybe meter or anyway, the kind of mathematical order, right? And then, so beyond humanity. So before, because that kind of ratio was not produced or created by a human being. So, but if there are not that kind of like ratio in the world before the engagement of human being, I mean, that was original music. That is a basic idea. So, and then, but it, rather, I mean, I mean, that they didn't just close the case in that way, simple way. He turned to another type of original music. And because, yeah, I mean, anyway, so this is maybe responding to Junzi, maybe. Junzi's assumption. Okay, anyway, so he talked about in the origin of music in terms of time. And then they trace back to further before and before and before and before. And then long before the Yellow Emperor, who are believed assumed to produce picture types. And thirdly, we can note that the idea of the original music, but this is a more kind of more kind of more familiar origin of music. So, and then even this is familiar one, he expanded the original music to the, I mean, more widely. So different tunes, but he traced back to the early one. So how these kind of tunes were produced, trace back and trace back. Oh, because of that story or that kind of musical kind of trend was formed. That's why there is some kind of like how to say regional characteristic are coexist, something like that. So these are a matter of point of original music for this. One point I would like to add more is that today I will not like explore too much, but for example, this kind of one of main themes of 리주춘주 지乐불로 or 지위의 this 불로 지위의 불로, yeah. So this is combination because it occurs again and again and again from the first chapter to second chapter, third chapter, again and again and again. So this idea actually penetrates the 리주춘주 music chapters, and that's why actually, although the final two chapters do not contain too much of musical content, but still, I think this is a related, very well organized 8 chapters. Yeah, I will just move on. Okay. As I mentioned, rather than I mentioned, actually Chris mentioned the first chapter. We can see the very metaphysical concept, right? And then I don't see this as a really. I don't think really the author of this chapter want to talk about metaphysics itself, but rather kind of patterns of music, patterns we can find from music, any music. So 顺利度量管于太一, and then move to King Gong Dao. And then secondly, the great music Dao Yue is the authors take turns, how to say, a little bit slightly move the kind of angle to revisit the same thing. So for example, the first paragraph talk about 度量 measurement, but next paragraph, they turn to the other side, our reception, so our emotion. So what is great music? Great music is all the people can delight and enjoy, and then, but that enjoyment, how does it come from? Come back to King, and come back to Tao, something like that. And then, right, and then 古乐, but the three chapters all include how music come from. The passage, the expressions are not the same because the purposes are not the same, but basically they all as first line of each chapter are asking what is the origin of music. And then second one, the Guyue or music or ancient music, also very interesting. We can see the text and story. We cannot find any other like preaching text. So, and then their kind of word choice is very articulate. And I actually divide this Guyue into 3 stages or 4 stages. If we divide, categorize Yao and Shun together, then maybe the stage can be 4. But anyway, so for example, see, so really fast, all the time. And then Hangti represent, sometimes they could make what is it? Make I don't know how to fix tone retracement like Qing and Zhong, right? Without this proper measurement of Ri, we cannot make this fixed tone. So, for example, string musical instrument or other those kind of simple instruments can be produced in earlier time. But what Hwangdi represented is a period of when they could make that fixed full set of musical instruments. And then Yao, Yao is actually represent, like they, I mean, after that, for example, Hwangdi or these three emperor didn't have their, how to say, their own dynasty, although in the old history they assume they have dynasty, but they didn't have. So anyway, so from here and here, slightly the meaning of music or role of music has been developed and changing. So we could see the history, their view of the history of music in this chapter. The second chapter, as I mentioned, we talk about the like many different type of music, and then this chapter talk about for example, like Eastern musical tune are actually originated from Xiahou Shi, and then this is related to certain story. So certain story, although we cannot really trace back to real melody, real like rhythm now, but we cannot see that kind of how to say air or emotional kind of atmosphere because anyway. So interesting thing is they in this chapter, they talk about all this history or all the story and also later story too. So for example, Western music is related to origin of the music of Qin. Right? Okay. Anyway, right. Yeah, almost done. Actually, I just gave you some big picture now. Uh, um, I hope to have more discussion on this perfectly tuned music. What is perfectly tuned music? Although I translate according to Novelab and Weaver's translation, I just adopted the perfectly tuned music for translate the Shiyin. But this Shiyin is not the just the tuning, in musical terms, but rather, as you can see, Rie has a tuning, but mind has also tuning, and mind tuning. Why we should mind tune? Because in order to make this ordering principle, establish ordering principle, for example, and yeah, likewise, music also have a right tuning and blah blah blah. And yeah, with this the original text, I just want to say this idea of the shi doesn't appear in Confucian lineage. I feel that this is very much related to the idea of Zhuangzi. Okay, right. My final page is this. I do think, in the sense that relationship also promotes personal cultivation and like social kind of transformation. In that sense, we can say like the kind of rough goal of music chapters in the relationship also can be called music education. But what is its characteristic? It is not. The reason why I put cosmopolitan. I call it cosmopolitan. Is that relationship is good. It's not good music. Great music. That way, it's not grand music. So that usage also quite different from others because when Modes criticize all the kinds of music. What his target was actually grandize music performed at the time. But Chu a little bit twisted the meaning of 大乐 and say that what is great, right? So and then so Chu's great music is not limited to any kind or any region, but can be achieved through kin equilibrium. I also brought the Lowell's translation, impartiality and Tao, and this key vocabulary and core idea hidden behind the lines come from Lao Tzu and Zhuangzi. Yeah, I do believe so. But it responds wisely to Moses' criticism, not only Moses, but all this criticism against Confucian music education. By doing so, it makes Confucian music education more sustainable and feasible. That is my help now. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful talks. For questions for online guests, please type your question in the chat box. I need to probably go out so we can see the chat box. Yeah.
I will check the talking box. Thank you so thank you.
We'll stop sharing, but otherwise we won't see. Okay, let me do it. But please,
I guess you may want to see some picture, right? You don't need or memorize.
But I will check. Yeah.
Well, thank you. It was a very interesting and detailed talk. I just wonder though about what you say about Confucian music. If we label the Yueqi and also the chapter in the Xunzi as Confucian music, it's also meant to be universal, not limited to any time or region, right? Did I miss?
I don't think, I mean, they wanted to say so,
Yeah.
but regionally, the music they promoted was very limited source, as a limited source, because I mean, I don't want to like devalue a like Stage King's music. I don't think so. I don't. But actually, those Stage King's music were uh, in the sense which was I mean handed down in like orchestra kind of ensemble kind of text. So in that sense, it was advanced music, but it was not really reflected all kinds of different various tune and melody and rhythm.
So the aspiration was similar, but you mean that this one drew on more sources than
You mean
so
the
so this one is more universal in the sense that it draws on more sources than
yeah, right.
But in terms of the aspiration, they're both universal. They're all universal. In terms of the aspiration, what counts as exemplary music?
No. Actually, frankly speaking, I don't think Confucian musical kind of theory cannot be sustained because at that time all the people want to. You may remember the Wei Wanhou or Qi Wang. They all say that what I like is new music. I don't like classical music. So there seems to be if Confucian scholars say that no, you don't I mean coffee or this like new music and then you should practice only Confucian stages music. That is not I don't think that is a success. That could be success. And then actually research is consequence is that all these classical so-called classical music and so on It is not possible.
Maybe I will invite you to elaborate more on the cosmopolitan part. This is related to Daniel's questions. So I think research obviously has its own agenda and task while employing all these physical sources. But I wonder whether you can elaborate in what sense, because you think it's different from like Confucian ritual music, but obviously they also employ quite a lot of Confucian terms and ideas. But how is it different? I mean, maybe you want to, not sure if you can elaborate more.
What do you mean by
Confucian ritual music, because the thing is, it's not just, well, it's different from Confucian ritual music. One example is maybe like, it might accommodate more like Xingye rather than classical music. So I'm not sure whether you can provide more details. What I mean when this idea, I think is interesting when you talk about Ping, right? And talk about Gong and talk about Li, which I tend to be less emphasized in Confucian texts. But these are ideals, but how do they employ these musical resources to tell their own targets? I think, and how, in what sense is different, like from Confucian understanding of music?
Because like we always the plan was not achieved, right? But Qin Shi Huang, he tried to establish their own kind of new music, but quote ritual music, but it failed. And afterwards, because of this idea, that's why I said, in a sense, Mr. Chunchu didn't kind of apparently criticize Confucian music, but I just how to say, reconstruct the Mr. Chunchu's position, how much they are different from Confucian, the position, Confucian so-called well kind of establishing Confucian music position, how different. But what I wanted to say is that I don't know how much you are familiar with Yang Liu, for example, music historian. Music historian does so how to say the Confucian music theory is being just handed down as a very abstract and very ideological claim, but it was not really applied. What was it really applied was actually his suggestion, like in the that idea. So surely those kind of very practical knowledge and scheme was handed down, but it was not handed down for the real kind of Sage King's music. It was gone. It was gone. Han Dynasty, they tried to restore, gone. Tang Dynasty, tried, gone. Because they couldn't restore the real kind of authentic music. It's not possible. So what I'm saying is that rather than the significance of musicianship's musical kind of discourse is that instead of they collect some musical resources, not that, but rather their view, how we could see, how we like reflect our heritage, how we newly compose new music fitting to our society. That kind of idea. That kind of idea is really important.
Yeah, please,
Okay, well, thank you. That was very interesting. You're treating texts that I've studied from a different perspective. So I always find this very rewarding to listen to someone approach the same topic from a totally different angle. And I guess this is not a question so much as a comment. I agree with what you're saying on this page, and I think you could push it farther. And so I would push that, when I said there's that cosmogenic or metaphysical background, I would push that a little bit further. That seems to me that that provides you with an answer to Susan's question. Just philosophically speaking, because of the structure of Xunzi's conception of Dao, now Xunzi may not represent all of Dao, but because of the structure of Xunzi's conception of Dao, he can't claim that appropriate music is directly rooted in nature. Because in Xunzi, it has to be cultural, and he doesn't think that nature provides Dao, right? And the Liu Shi Chunqiu is actually making precisely that move and saying that there are certain relations in nature that in great music or proper music are directly reflected in music. And so your point about creativity is they're opening up the possibility for people to compose new music, justify it on the grounds that it's capturing these natural relations that are there. So like those references to type, I know your feeling is, I don't want to push it so that it's like really mystical or something. Well, we don't have to do that. But it is very, very important to them. And it's a claim that, there is this sort of cosmogenic structure of nature, and music is part of it. Like music issues from that. And then when I was saying my approach is a bit different, is that I read this stuff as it's all wrapped up very tightly with the ethics of the Liu Shi Chunqiu, right? Which is an ethics that says realize nature, their conception of nature. And so they would say that appropriate music is music that, on the one hand, ethically helps us to attain that end, and then on the other hand, reflects certain, natural relations. Things. And of course, what's kind of interesting about that is it's not crazy. I mean, music is created by creating, by sound waves, and certain chords have certain effects on us. We have no control over that, and it's a product of physics, right? And
Yes, I don't have any disagreement.
Yeah.
I think I went that test before, and then I'm still having that.
Yeah.
Right? But the reason why I'm kind of reluctant and a little bit reserved my kind of pursuit towards that part is that because the music captures a relationship is very complex. It doesn't talk about, so it doesn't say that, so natural ground on the top, but rather, as I said, slightly move the angle and then talk about the reception, the emotion, and then move towards, and then diversify the music. So in that sense, yeah, I fully agree. But if I emphasize too much the nature, then people may just
it's not necessarily
Yes.
saying that nature bestows the music on us,
no.
but it's saying that nature creates certain sorts of relations and things, and appropriate music fits together with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you tie it up with their ethics, I think, revolves around the concept of health. And so again, it's not like a command that you have to act in a certain way. It's just an observation that things go best if we do what's actually healthy for us. So the musical side is kind of analogous to it.
No disagreement. I have no disagreement, but I just want to say, because the real, how to say, I mean, because the musical text and musical contents are very difficult to access. Because if you read the description or kind of perception of certain music, when you read, you cannot really restore that music. It is not possible, right? So that's why, like musical discourse is really important, I think, to understand preaching, preaching thought, I think. But not many people can access, That's why I'm more kind of talk about the details of musical content.
It's
That's
very
all.
difficult. Another thing about these particular texts is they're full of puns.
Hmm.
They're full of puns. I mean, besides the obvious one about music and joy, which they use again,
oh,
it's all over the
yeah,
place.
yeah.
They use it like several times.
Yeah.
But also, I even wonder that those are also musical terms,
Yeah,
right? So when you say it's equilibrium and partiality, I think it is.
yeah, I know.
But then also, I think it
Right.
might be a musical note that they're talking about.
Musical rather than note. Note part is actually fully not fully, but basically the schema of notes and like pitch, etc. are yeah, I mean unfolded in Inri. So regarding, I think the reason why I show the full structure is each chapters play their own role. So for example, 大乐, the first chapter, I really agree with you. I'm agree with you. So meaning that 公 may not be specific musical term there. In the different context, maybe I suggest a different kind of maybe possibility of translation, but for that, it's quite general remarks.
I have a very novice question. I don't know if it's very enlightened. Do we have other questions online?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
It's simply because there's no better option. I'll ask my question. So I don't know the Wu Shu show, and I definitely don't consider myself an expert on early music. But of course, like many scholars of Confucianism, I've read the Yeji and the Sungkyunkwan chapter, and so here's a very amateur theory. Maybe I'm just stating something that you already applied. It seems like everyone agrees that there's a strong relation between music and joy. That pun that Chris mentioned earlier. So that means maybe we can think of that as a success criterion. In order for some combination of notes over time to count as music, it has to elicit a certain kind of joy. And so then on the Confucian reading, at least the Yueji and the relevant chapter, the Xunzi, you get that joy because in some sense it has the right relation to virtue. So it's a moralized conception of music where something counts as music proper, counts as and not in, right? They're very careful in those two texts. Insofar as it's virtuous or exemplary, say. And then it sounds like maybe this 是因 phrase from the Wu Shu Show is an attempt to take the moral content out of it and say, no, you get the right relationship to joy by having it perfectly tuned, right? As long as it has as long as it elicits its harmonious chords, everything, and it elicits this kind of natural feeling of joy, then it qualifies as noise that has the right relationship to joy and not virtue. So maybe this is what you were implying all along, insofar as you say there's this Taoist influence on the Wu Shu show. But I just wondered if I could make it explicit, or if this was a wild hypothesis.
Okay, thank you so much for. I mean, I like this question very much, but this is not Taoist. I don't think this is Taoist.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you say by Taoist, if you mean by Zhongjian because like Shengyin is the basic key terms for music theory were gradually formed. According to my study, in 8th century BCE to up to the 12th century, it was actually evolved. So, for example, Ming or Lü, all this term could be taken as a musical kind of key terminology for music theory. They were actually candidate before. It was not really standardized. But gradually, because there was a need to explain how to differentiate this ideal music, Confucian ideal music, from others. So all this kind of chaotic situation actually, motivate them to think about how compose, how explain this. And then that's why the clear distinction between Sheng and Yue actually, accepted in the Yue chapter. You may remember Sheng, Sheng is shared or for all. In is only can be appreciated by human being, but Yue is a further up. It's not just music, something like that. Those kind of ideas were actually developed, amongst the scholar at the time. So, and then, but that kind of distinction were not, I don't think this is very desirable, not all the time. So we can take this category as some kind of useful terminology to differentiate and explain the all different aspects of music. But if you put this hierarchy, then this is not desirable. I believe there is a Zhangzi schools idea. For example, Tianyin, there is no any appreciation or any kind of any endorsement of in, but rather it kind of blur these lines, Sheng even in a chapter 2. So that's why I don't think the adopting in as an important musical kind of terminology by Yu Chunqiu are not actually Taoism, but rather that is a very, in a sense, very creative, but comprehensively creative, rather than the totally different or totally creative suggestion. I think that, if standing on this author's idea, because Sheng Yue, that concept were widely accepted, but evaluation and how to weight and how to play these two concepts were different. So, right. So, what was your question? So yeah, there is ethical, right?
Yes, if there's an attempt to.
So for me, the Shi that idea is more like, so actually, Yu Chunqiu made a move towards more theoretical music theory rather than philosophy of music. Right? So rather than general remarks, what does it mean to us, and blah blah blah, and what is the meaning of music to our life, and instead of that, actually he made move to really theorize. This very useful knowledge. Yeah. So Shi Yin is showing that kind of move, as if there is you should tune yourself, your mind. You should tune your tune your, I don't know, maybe low, right? As like that, you should tuning in the level of in melody and pitch. If the pitch is not well tuned, then you cannot make harmonious music at all. Something like that. So Mr. Chunqiu made a move, very original move, rather than just taking Taoist idea and inclined to use it. That is not how it's.
Could I offer a follow-up? So that's a good point about how theoretical it is. So again, this is something that distinguishes these texts from Xunzi. Xunzi is concerned with the function of music in society and the psychological function. And the Xunzi text doesn't have much to say about why it can play that function. It's not trying to explain why it works that way. It's just talking about how it's supposed to work. And the Liu Shunqiu wants to talk a little bit more about the theory of how it works that way.
How can achieve that?
How can achieve
that quality?
Yeah, the Yuanji has that too. Has this as well. Yeah. But this concept of sure, I think it's moralized.
Yeah,
It's explicitly moralized.
Oh, in the
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, half and half. Partly yes, and partly no.
So
How-
I mean, I admit that I don't read the Nogai translation because I think it's so horrible that people should not read it.
Should not read.
So, but,
The no block and regal.
Yeah,
Nogai
yeah, yeah.
Rigo, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but that perfectly tuned.
Because I'm participating in it.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean,
but that
booming
idea,
and-
they're interpreting it as perfectly tuned. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's wrong, but that's at most half the story. And so that word sure, I mean, there's nothing wrong with just interpreting it something like suitable or fitting. It still
I
works.
prefer the, yeah.
Yeah, I think I have something where I interpreted as moderated, well modulated. Yeah.
So it cannot be, I mean, choice of 是 cannot be, I mean, cannot be separated from the 是 in the 庄子, of course. When you,
Probably, yeah.
yeah, because
sure.
I mean, you know, when you like wear the very comfortable shoes, then you can, or comfortable like
Yeah.
the tie or something, then you don't feel it is distance,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so something like that.
Sure.
So just nice and just a suit, just a fitting. Yeah, that is better. Maybe I agree, but
But so unfitting music would not be joyous, and then it also wouldn't feel it. So yeah, they're pretty clear about that.
So I'm from the music department, so so I want to ask something more from music. So, because you mentioned that there are a lot of new elements brought by the traditional comparing. Example, we should also have a table showing that this is or that what is really traditional, and that is quite amazing to me is that so I'm just wondering so whether these new elements in your opinion is because of the development, the understanding of music per se, or just because you know the traditional is 清朝, so they want to have own, for example, ideology, new set of ideology to distance themselves from, for example, those other states. Because the reason why Qin dynasty is so successful because they adopt legalism, not, for example, Confucianism or other school of thought. So as a state of based on legalism, they try to build up their own set of standard ideology. So that means that it's not from it's more political or anything like so. So I'm just asking. So which side do you think is, I mean, most reasonable motivation from for this research to be so different?
I don't know much about entire text of literature because before I actually I encountered the music chapters of literature I was not interested in at all because of so that's why I'm not in the position to talk about the entire scheme and goal of literature. And then I may not be trying to do so either because um, I'm not sure whether in the past, in the Fusion period, they really had a clear idea of music per se or not. I'm just just project the kind of music per se, this kind of I mean I just project that kind of aspect to find out something interesting points from this text because whether you what I want to say is because I believe the frame of Da the miscellaneous really hinder us to, prevent us or avoid, really, yeah, make us very, I don't know, that framework is not very helpful for me to understand the research. So that's why, so if you ask me uh, the overall kind of point of view of research into, I'm not in the position to answer that question. And then, but if you say that like music per se, what I'm saying is not research into also of research into, they only focus on the problem of music per se, but rather we can find out very comprehensive and complex idea about music if we see it from the perspective of music per se. Did I answer to your
Yeah,
question?
actually, it is a kind of follow-up of a question I raised before. I mean, for by music per se, I just mean, for example, is really, I mean, they probe into, for example, the tuning system of the music to see really the pitch. For example, the perfect pitch or perfect tune pitch, and this is some kind of emotion, something like that.
Yeah.
There's a more scientific interpretation of how music works, or something like that. So, but I'm just doubting. So maybe it's not in that kind of direction. It is just
No, actually, the research you concern that one too. So that's why you want to say more alive or not, something like
Yeah.
that. But from because how to say, if you are stick to certain tune which are popular in certain region, then your creativity could be limited by certain kind of given knowledge. But if you are open to, so that's why I agree, kind of nature harmony, and then how this harmony can be created, or etc., then your scope of the creativity, could be widened and deepened.
Just to follow up, and to either of you, is there anything in this text that's really interesting contribution to music theory of modern? Well, I hadn't thought of that.
I think one section should into of course music related section should into really contribute to tuning methods. I mean, in terms of psychology. It's how the 12 pitches are calculated, kind of something similar to Pythagoras, something like that. So that is maybe the novel part, but that is it is concerned with but in addition to that, I don't see why I mean development from the perspective of
Maybe what about this new novel? I'm just curious whether what's the general opinion of musicology? Whether it's because it can be the possibility that just research and preserve what at that time there has been these ideas.
Yeah.
So rather than it's an idea like innovated by literature, it might be just that literature to preserve. Yeah, that kind of. I'm not sure if there's any debate or the college might not sure, might not be concerned with this.
So you mean the real new part?
Maybe there's no new part.
There is some, for example, before 吕氏春秋, for example, in one. Right, something like that. So they only calculate the first 6 tones. You know there are 12 tones within an octave. But by 吕氏春秋, they kind of complete the circle, calculate all the 12 tones by certain. So maybe that is
new for us.
Yeah,
Maybe not new for the contemporaries.
The relevant sections of the literature show about music and not dance. mean, that's one very striking thing about the yueji is that it's almost as much about dance as it is about what we now think of as music. This is relevant to the music per se question. But is it now more focused on just the tonal, the audio?
That is good point.
Yeah.
I actually, yeah, that is very good point. Because actually in the Gurye, the chapter of ancient music, I mean, the musicians should also deal with music. And then earlier than the yellow tea, actually, it seems to be the music in song and like dance are all kind of combined.
Yes.
Or something like that, naturally kind of emerges from something like that. But I think the author of music director should actually give too much focus on that.
Oh.
Yeah. So in that sense, yeah, that is, I think.
Interesting.
But this is also, I think, the matter of how I mean their kind of motivation to whether preserve traditional performance or not. To me.
Can you elaborate on the last claim and making Confucian music more sustainable and feasible? Why do you?
Because yeah, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because all this music kind of discourse was continued under the name of Confucian. Right? So, for example, Han Dynasty, Tang Dynasty, and then Song Dynasty, they finally achieved. They made a full set of Gongwi, and then they really were. That was a triumph. So they distributed their newly established music, but which they believe restored ancient ideal music. So that is a real kind of scandalous, because Song Huizong, after he spent too much money, and then it brought kind of disaster to the Song dynasty. But anyway, but in terms of musical kind of their kind of how to say achievement of restoration of ideal Confucian music was achieved, and then tried attempted many times, but no one really succeeded. But what I wanted to say is that kind of attempted ideological kind of parts, they always think about, oh, Sage King's music, Sage King's music. So, but they couldn't know. They didn't know. But they always put that as their idea and their goal. But what really actually applied was actually those kind of theoretical parts that Richard Chu made more elaborate explanation and then initiated. So in that sense, although that's why I say making Confucian music education more sustainable, feasible. Otherwise, I don't think they could kind of revive or restore so-called Confucian ideology.
We have more questions? Yeah, no. Well, almost time. The time is almost up. That's actually a question. Yeah, maybe I read that out. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. I wonder if "si" could also be interpreted as satisfying, because there's also the mention of long life against short life, leisure against laborers, and music too loud and too soft, pitches too high and pitches too low, etc. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, I think this question is related to what we talked about just before. Yeah, if it is fitting, then fitting meaning that satisfy, maybe. So in some context, maybe you can translate it as a satisfying in certain context, but yeah. Yes.
Suitable, satisfying.
Yeah. Suitable, satisfying,
Fitting.
fitting. Yeah, I think so. Thank you for question.
But if we read the Shi Ying, it seems the idea is that you 心事, I mean, 形式, I mean,
Yeah.
its heart must be first 事. then you can be receptive to the right music. So probably the Si is not just music itself, but it seems that there's some conditions for getting satisfaction.
Yeah, that's why that kind of usage of a shi is actually appearing earliest appearances in the Zhuangzi. If you, I checked in the mentions and of course an Annals, shi meaning go. All the just go. So it is not really appreciated and contemplated in the sense of feeling. I mean, before, Zhuangzi in a chapter, special usage of shi.
That famous line in the Zhuangzi about knowledge, that also use the word sure. Sure, dai, it depends on something in order to be sure, right?
So I agree. The concept of shi could be to be more explored. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're 5 minutes past the time. So let's thank you. You're welcome to stay behind. Chat with the time. The booking I made is at 45, so we still have some. We'll probably start like 6:30.
Okay.
Oh, it's in the
Quite far away, actually.
Yeah, almost 10 minutes.
On the other side of campus, so
Finally, I caught you.
yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I love thinking about these old texts.
Yeah. Yes, for all these online guests, well, welcome for attending the seminar. So we have concluded the seminar. Thank you for your attention.